Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. Today's video marked the very start of Season 4 and this is a game from my very first day playing live on stream. I'm up against Tungville, who is a very strong player from the 301 region, and we've even faced each other in tournaments before, like the Serpentine Cup, so I'd say that we're quite acquainted. Now, having a look at the packs here, there's two Stormcaller packs, but I decided to go for something more aggressive because there's been a lot of changes, and I feel like on aggro I can often test most options, kind of have some freedom there to play some new things. Whether or not we'll be able to do that this game, we'll have to see. But the opponent certainly will be making use of the Farseer being now free to unlock, and I definitely have made use of it myself as well. I think Farseer is still very, very strong early on, so the fact that you're able to pick it up early, especially into things like steel balls and the likes, it tends to perform quite well. Now, I decided to kind of rush the right side here. I still go for a relatively wide deployment. That way, if I get oiled, I can always kind of beacon. And I also pull the enemy units towards the middle so that I don't get debuffed here on round 1. Now, Hounds, I'm warming up to them. I still think they're a bit awkward here because, as you can see, we don't one-shot the crawlers at equal level, and that's, well, not something that you could say about something like the Arclight, which would be the chaff clear unit you could compare it to. But if you manage to scale them, then they're very powerful, and we might be able to make use of something like the first 2 attack enhancements to kind of upset that breakpoint. Of course, then our opponent would have to click the 2 defense enhancements to bring it back to the same breakpoint, but that can often be a bit expensive, and some people won't notice that you've gone for those changes. Round number 2, Wraith shows up, Void Eye, Sledgehammer, and Fang. I did play some Carry Fang games because they buffed the AP Fang, but that's not going to be this replay. If you want to see those, even though I know I just posted one, let me know down below. Then I'll see what I can do and maybe highlight one of those games. Wraith is the thing I pick up. Sledgehammer here wouldn't be bad, but since I'm the one pushing in, it didn't seem like a poor option, and it's nice to have some anti-air at least. And I decided to push the left side. This way I don't really have to worry too much about grabbing like a Phoenix or a Marksman. I can just kind of hope that I manage to get the tower and the Wraith can kind of clean up afterwards if we still have some ground-based units left alive to tank for it. Opponent goes for the Void Eye, which I found a little bit surprising, with energy absorption. Now, mind you, it is very tanky, and it does do a good job of one-shotting the Hounds and dealing good damage to the level 1 steel balls, but I feel like the Sledgehammer here made a lot of sense for him. Left tower completely open. We had a crawler on the shallow flank to kind of prevent any insta-locks from happening, and, well, the steel balls here doing a fantastic job, I have to say, of locking onto the Arclights. Just look at that. Tower goes down as well, and this just looks like a very good round for us. We still have to deal with all of those steel balls in the middle, though. Hopefully we can kill them. I mean, Wraith will just win by default, but if we can grab some experience on the steel balls, then that'd be nice. I'll speed things up a bit here because it takes a while. He actually has a few steel balls left, so we'll spend a bit of time clearing up the board. There's even a crawler of his going all the way to my tower. We'll have to chase that too. And look at this Void Eye. I mean, it's doing crazy amounts of damage. 34k. So maybe not a bad pickup after all, as it definitely did more than enough on that round for my opponent. Crawler going to take down the tower and then make its way over to the other tower. Is it going to survive somehow? My Wraith is trying to chase it, but it's definitely not as fast. And yeah, wow. I mean, 1 HP Crawler there manages to survive, and we go all the way on round 2. That's rather uncommon, I'd say. Round number 3, Heavy Armor shows up. Of course, we pick it because we have 2 steel ball levels available, and that is a fantastic item to put onto a leveled steel ball. Intensive Training here could have been an option too if you want to level the Wraith, but I think this is just too easy of a pickup. It did get nerfed slightly. It used to give 80% bonus HP. It now gives 75%. I think that's completely fine. Those cheaper items have honestly been among the strongest. I think this, Port Shield, improved firepower, which all got nerfed, were some of the most impactful items, especially for their cost. So I think it's good that they're getting toned down a little bit. Opponent goes for a Fire Badger. He is a Fire Badger spec. Well, he gets it for free, I guess, this turn from a specialist, and throws a heavy armor on top of that. And now, I mean, I've already like gotten all my levels here, so I decided to pick up a Wasp and then add a Crawler to the front line to prevent a missile from hitting my steel balls, and then the Wasp is kind of there to screen the flank and arrive late to distract any potential like marksman or phoenixes my opponent might buy. But he goes for the Farseer. Now available for everyone, 50 unlock cost like the Wraith and the Scorpion. And it's pretty powerful, I have to say. I mean, the damage is stacking. Of course, the steel balls here, exceptionally tanky. Level 3.5, basically. So, no wonder that it takes him a while to get through. But he almost gets through everything. Luckily, my steel ball does manage to deal good amounts of damage to his Farseer. And we do take it down eventually. But that was not without a fight. Looks like we will win again, just by default, because of our air units. But that looked pretty tricky on the left side, and that was just the Farseer there and a Badger. Not even something like a Scorpion. Wraith going to get the farm. If I can get a level, I'd be very happy. Not sure if we'll be able to. Oh, with the Void Eyes, that'll do. They're worth a lot of experience, so... Wraith level here, always nice. Round number 4, we get an enhancement module. Opponent immediately picks it. He has some steel balls he can level. And if you can transition it later onto the Farseer, then he can make a lot of money. I decided not to go for it here because although I can make profit, I kind of want to keep the units on the board that I could level. I want to keep the Wasp for the flank defense and distraction, and I want to keep my Wraith because it's my best unit. So I don't really want to like sell out of stuff here, and with the nerfed enhancement module received, I feel like it's too expensive. Instead of go for efficient tech research, which is also a fine card since we didn't have any techs clicked yet, and we immediately go for the range on the Wraith. I'm selling out of some of my steel balls here because they were level 1 and they were honestly just kind of dying, and retrieving money will allow me to get into a better comp. Opponent goes for a Scorpion. We add a Rhino onto the right side. I was hoping this could stall, but in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have run it into the high-level Void Eyes. I'm really surprised at the damage that these were kind of, yeah, pumping out. Like, look at that. Like, Rhino just completely melting on the right side. Middle also struggling a little bit. And left side, that Scorpion managed to deal with my steel balls, so... Not really managing to win our strong side anymore. Although I say that, this Wraith might be able to say something about it. But there's still a Farseer left on this side, and we probably will get debuffed here. At least we take out the Farseer at a nice timing, but... the other one's still alive. We will grab a debuff, but it's not too meaningful. And as we'll get debuffed ourselves, you have to imagine that this Farseer will be able to clean up. Not a terrible round, all things considered. We managed to get a Scorpion investment out of our opponent, so we now know that we can sell out of our steel balls. But he's definitely stabilizing here. Now, round number 5, we have more unit reinforcements. Sledgehammers don't make too much sense into an existing Scorpion. Fangs are, I mean, could be funny, but don't think it pairs very well with Wraith. Kind of want something to tank for them. So the Sabertooth honestly looks really nice. It's a good unit against things like the Farseer. Has plenty of damage to take it out. And good into Scorpion as well. Plus it's much harder to take down than something like a Steel Ball pack for a DPS unit like a Scorp. So I decided to pick up this Saber. And we're instead going to try and play Saber Wraith. Which can work. It's not the most common because the Wraith kind of tends to get in front, right? It has less range, especially with the range click here on Saber. But if we can lock onto his important units, and we should be able to, as long as the Wraith survives for a little bit, really good chaff clear, should be able to take them out. Opponent goes for Phantoms, which we'll have to see if our Wraith has enough juice to take them out. Can be a bit of a problem. We might need some more dedicated anti-air later on. I decided to add another Wraith here to the right side to try and chaff clear a bit and also help out my Rhino. And we've sold out of our Steel Ball since they were facing a Scorpion, and we've transitioned it onto our other Steel Ball here. I feel like with range on my Saber, I probably don't need the item on there. I might want to transition it onto like a Wraith here, as his DPS is not the best. He does click EMP, which is going to be very annoying. But at least we still have the tankiness of the Wraith. Farseer doesn't have like the highest DPS, so at least there's that. Farseer will lock on left side though and immediately get rid of that range. Luckily the right side looks a bit better. We do have units to get in front of the Wraith. And let's see, can the Sabers lock onto the correct targets? This one very busy killing some Arclight. This one turning its attention to the middle Farseer. And just look at that. Boom. Gone. One shot. Farseer left side. Not able to take down my Wraith, which lives on a sliver of hit points. And things aren't looking too bad. We get a debuff as well. Saber going to take down that enemy Farseer. And I think we should have enough left here to take down the remaining Phantom. So pretty happy with this round. That looked good. Sabers did exactly what I wanted them to. And you can see top 1 and top 2 on damage that round. Lovely stuff. Laser Sight shows up on round 6. You both insta-pick it. Very good item for a Wraith, so I don't see any reason not to go for that. And now, I mean, I probably want to sell out of these Steel Balls. They're not doing too much. We can transition the item probably on top of a Wraith, since the Wraith is tanking for the Saber, as I said. And then, I mean, more chaff could be nice. More Sabers as well would be lovely. We could even go for something like the Missile Interceptor, because it's very cheap, and my opponent is stacking Farseer with Phantoms. If we just buy a whole bunch, yeah, that's what we go for. We might be able to intercept some of these shots, and, well, get rid of the crucial DPS that my opponent needs to take down my units. This allows us to grab 1, 2, even 3 more elite recruited Sabers, as we sell out of our Steel Balls. Oh, I see that I was on 0.5 speed. That's why they fell out of the skies so slowly. And yeah, here I'm kind of trying to stack them on one side. Make sure that we have at least 3 on this side to kind of deal with these Farseers and also help out with the Phantoms. I add 1 in the middle to try and kind of pressure the tower, but my opponent adds a Fang in front, so this is not ideal, as, well, this guy doesn't have any chaff clear buddies to help him out. Let's see, how does it go this time? Looks like this time around, my Wraith manages to live a little bit longer. I say that, it does get targeted pretty quick. Right side, a very similar story. Sabers, I would say, are doing an okay job of at least intercepting some of the shots, but obviously they're not able to intercept everything. With that being said, looks like most of the chaff has gone. Eventually, the missiles will get through, and because they apply EMP, I also lose my interception. But the tankiness of these Sabers is not to be understated. My opponent doesn't have the best DPS, even though he does have that annoying EMP. And it seems like we'll be just fine. 1 Wraith still alive. That's going to need to take out a full pack of Phantoms still, but with the interception working nicely, the remaining Farseer is unable to do anything. And, well, the Phantoms are very unhappy. I do need to grab some dedicated anti-air now, though, because this is cutting it close. And, yeah, I could very well lose a round there just because I've run out of Wraith. Round 7, another enhancement module shows up. Wasp Swarm, though, we probably have to think about. My backline is pretty exposed. I could sell my Rhino because it's been basically feeding at this point. Opponent's selling out of Farseer, still moving around that enhancement module, making a bit of profit. We pick up that Wasp Swarm, goes all the way in the back. An opponent goes for it too. Hopefully we think about this. I either need to add like some crawlers in the back, or I can just like missile. I already have one over here, so honestly we should be fine. But yeah, you can see me placing the missiles. If you put them in the spots where the Wasp Swarm would spawn, then you're fine. If it's more kind of off to the side and has to travel a bit, that's when you will often see some of the Wasps survive. And we just go for more Sabers. We also pick up another Wraith to help out this Saber that we bought last round. And we go for Floating Artillery Array. Now, I know that I'm getting EMP'd, but some of them will stay alive. And if we can just kind of get out some of the chaff clear, get rid of some of these units, it'll make it much, much easier for the Sabers. And I mean, ideally, as we stack more Sabers, eventually we don't get EMP'd, right? Or at least not as early. Opponent here stacking the double Tara buffs, attack and defense. Not sure if the defense does much, I will say. Maybe for the Phantoms, but I don't think the Sabers care too much about the tankiness of these Farseers and Arclights. And looks like 8-gun is doing well. The Wraith on the side are getting debuffed, but the ones in the middle, yeah, only are getting EMP'd now. And, I mean, as you can see, there's not much chaff left. Sabers still all completely fine. Tower will go down, the oil not really doing too much. And looks like, again here, we should be fine. Again, I didn't really buy any dedicated anti-air, but I did at least buy floating artillery array and level some Wraith. So it looks like we'll be fine. And, I mean, either way, the Phantoms are unable to get any shots in. So it would be a trade no matter what. We managed to get a nice round in, dealing a sizable amount of damage. This is almost lethal, is it not? Close. 484 hit points remaining. Another heavy armor shows up. And there is a bolt drop, which I have to be a bit careful about. But I needed some anti-air anyway, so I think it's a good time to start buying some wasps with anti-air. They don't really need much else here. But just having some wasps in there to kind of try and deal with these Phantoms a bit quicker would be nice. And they're very good backline defense. Yep, there we go. Of course, the tech is cheaper because we have efficient tech research still. And I think we've made very good use of it so far, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 techs clicked. Could even go for more down the line. Maybe some photon would be nice. And we put a crawler all the way in the back here to try and distract the boats, because otherwise it might be able to win against a lone pack of wasp. But this way it should get distracted, and then the wasps should be able to take it down. Opponent now going for melters, as he's realizing he needs more DPS to kill the Sabers. But if he can manage to clear the chaff, then the Saber should also have plenty of damage to kind of get rid of the melters. So now it just becomes a question of who can clear faster. We missile, he missiles us as well, even expends multiple missiles there to make sure at least one of them lands. At the very least, his investment of that bolt drop doesn't do too much. But he does manage to insta-lock my level 3 Wraith on the left. And the one on the right gets EMP'd, now gets locked by the melter as well. So things are not looking too hot. As, well, we haven't managed to get rid of all the chaff here. And as we get EMP'd even more, the Sabers are slowed down, they lose their range, and they're unable to connect with the melters. And that's a ton of damage coming through. And suddenly I find myself at 795, down from 3k. So we've pretty much equalized in one round. Round number 9, we get a bunch of unit reinforcements, and I'm looking through this and thinking, okay, like, what can I do here? We could try Raiden with range EMP. Maybe that wouldn't be too bad. Opponent picks up the steel balls and goes for immediate mechanical division. I don't think Abyss here would do enough. I would have to gamble, I guess, that he doesn't level the tower, and then maybe we can snipe, but it seems a bit cheesy. Marksman, definitely not the call. Steel ball could be. And I'm thinking, well, if I already get 3 steel ball deployments, they're very good against things like melters, and they're going to be hard for him to take out. So I could just stack them all on one side and maybe even buy more and just try and pressure one tower to the max. And that's what we end up doing here. We buy 3 steel balls, we try and line them up towards that right side tower. Opponent again tries to use some missiles here to get rid of the chaff and grab that insta-lock. Temp range, temp speed, very important. We've been picking it now for a few turns. And yeah, I mean, look at this. We are slowly building our ball or steel ball brick on the left side. We grab a mobile beacon, we beacon in some of these steel balls, we get a missile as well to try and evaporate some of the chaff, make sure these steel balls have a chance of getting in. And with only a few seconds remaining here, I try to shield to prevent these missiles from taking down all my chaff. And I add 3 more blue steel balls on the left side in this, well, we'll just say beautiful formation to try and overwhelm the opponent. And the nice thing is the steel balls also will tank for the Wraith. And as they have no levels, the EMP doesn't do too much except slow them down a little bit. But yeah, with the temp speed here, we're able to just go in, lock onto the Meltler, brute force it, get the tower, and that allows the right side to be freed up a little bit. Hopefully, these Sabers will be able to connect to his important units. Opponent, of course, went Mech Div Steel Balls. I think he even bought 2 or 3 more. But Wraith is pretty decent against that. It's one of the best Chaff units in the game. And looks like we've managed to stabilize at the very end with a correct play. The Ball Brick and the Sabers, in fashion, will close things out. Fun game. A bit scary at the end. I was not expecting to take like 2k plus damage and almost lose. But we managed to luckily like identify the correct pick there with the unit drop. And I will say this is very hard to deal with for him because I don't think he had oil anymore. And I mean, you just have to guess that this is coming, right? Like maybe if he goes energy diffraction, it'd be all right. But I don't think you want to click energy diffraction into these ranged Sabers because then you get outranged and that can be a problem too. So yeah, tough one. And this is something you can do sometimes off of unit drops. If you just need a finisher, buy 3 more of an existing 3-pack, and suddenly you've got 6 units barreling down the left side of the board. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. If you've got any opinions about the new season, about this game, put them down in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with latest content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.